So both teams lined up in a 4-3-3, which was to be expected. One key feature of Celtic's pre-season has been bringing their full-backs into the middle of the pitch during the build-up phase. Do this for a number of the reasons, but if Taylor comes in here, for example, and Soro moves there, it gives Soro a little bit of a better opportunity to get on the ball and stops him having to run across to receive it. But it's more so that McGregor and Turnbull can get a bit higher, and also McGregor can drop into this space, and if Celtic are able to move the ball quickly, then you've got McGregor coming forward. It creates a 2v1 inside the middle of the pitch. Then you've got Christie in here. Edouard's able to make runs. Turnbull's able to come across and overload that side, and it just helps bringing the ball up the pitch a little bit more efficiently. Now, last night they did try and do this quite a lot, but I actually felt they overused it a little bit, especially trying to push Taylor in there, and actually they weren't quite as effective. Taylor was coming in, but even though McGregor was getting into this space, the Midtjylland striker just dropped in on Soro, so Taylor was always free. But what was happening was Anderson in the middle of the park here, he was kind of cheating a little bit between half, but because Celtic moved the ball quite slow, it was quite easy for him to press, and Taylor in that position, it is a difficult role to play, being able to play on the half turn and move forward. So the ball just kept going back, and as it went back, they then just forced the press, and then the goalkeeper was just kicking it long. And because Celtic have got players up and advanced in quite wide positions, it was quite easily picked up by Midtjylland and going forward. The other thing I don't think helped as well was Beaton. Kind of a right footer that a left centre back does work at times, but he needs to be really quick and really dynamic, so that if he does receive it and he's getting pressed, he can just rotate quickly and drop it in to that space. But I don't think he did that quite as well, and it just meant Celtic were kind of playing it round in a kind of U shape, and then eventually it was going back to Barkas and then going long. Midtjylland did get their press reasonably well, but I do think it's something in the next game that if Celtic were able to move the ball a bit quicker, they'd get a lot more success. When Celtic were successful and they're able to get the ball to McGregor in these positions, it actually gives them lots of great attacking opportunities going forward. So we've got Taylor going in, we've got McGregor dropping into this position here. When he gets on it, obviously we've touched on the fact that, you know, it can create a 2v1, it can go inside, and of course they can switch the play. But when he's in this position here, what they've got in somebody like David Turnbull is someone that's able to move across the midfield and pick up some really good positions. And actually, they had a really good moment where McGregor got onto it, and here Turnbull came across, and as he was moving across, Christie started to drift in, and as he drifted in, McGregor played the ball into Edouard, who tried to play it round the corner first time, to be fair, and it was intercepted. But that movement there will kill teams, because if Edouard decides to hold that up, he can go into Christie, and then of course then they've got the run from the right hand side. But again, if he pulls that off and it goes round the corner, then Celtic are in behind. So it's worth persevering with what they're trying to do at the back, but again, they just need to move the ball sharper, because once they get past from that initial third to moving into the middle, they've got so many good attacking options at the moment to try and get in behind and hurt teams. So looking at Celtic's goal, it came from David Turnbull carrying the ball out to the wide area. A couple of good things to point out here from Abada. Makes a forward run, obviously not looking to get the ball at that point, but it pulls the defence back, especially Paulinho, the left back, into this position here. Turnbull plays the ball back to Soro, who's up supporting. Now as that happens here, Abada moves wide, and as he's doing that, Turnbull drifts inside, which again pulls Paulinho wide. He's kind of caught between two, and Soro's actually done this quite a lot. I noticed in pre-season and in this game, he opens his body up looking like he's going to play wide, and then he just tries to cut the ball through, playing that kind of reverse pass in, which he manages to do. This attracts the centre half, and then obviously Turnbull switches the ball out to Christie, who comes into this area. And why that's so important, all those movements, is eventually when Christie runs through to shoot, you've got the centre half recovering here. Abada comes into that side there. The centre half's eyes are only on the ball, and obviously recovering his positioning on Christie. And then as the shot comes in and it's parried, Abada's able to come inside and finish. So again, it's a good example from the right hand side where they've got players close together, they've got players making those sacrifice runs that are just there to stretch teams, and then they've got the quality to then go in, punish teams between the lines. And again, with Abada, Christie coming off the flanks and inside, you know, a great example, your left winger coming in, taking a shot, and your right winger getting in the rebound. So again, lots of positives to take from that going forward. So when Celtic went down to 10 men, and before Midtjylland went down to 10 men as well, they set up in a 4-3-2, which was quite a brave move by the manager. But it did give them some good advantages, and actually it was probably something that worked out quite well for them in that phase. By keeping two up top, what it meant first of all was when Midtjylland were moving the ball, they were able to cover both spaces. You've not got one striker having to move across the pitch and get fatigued and tire out. So having Turnbull and Edouard in there, they were able to drop in and cover the pass to number 6. They pretty much sacrificed anything in the wide area, but even when their fullbacks got it, because they were all close and tight together, McGregor, or on this side for example it was Christie, they're able to jump out and close that down. Fullback can deal with winger, and then Sorrell can push up to deal with the other midfielder. And actually, you look at that position now, Celtic are in a pretty good shape there. And they did that quite well, and actually gave them a good chance if they do nick it to counter-attack. And even when they counter again, you've got Turnbull, Edouard, you've got McGregor in those positions as well. What Midtjylland did before they got a man sent off, and how they started to dominate a little bit more before the red card, was Evander came in and they played a 2 in here. And what that meant was when the ball was getting moved out, Evander actually dropped into this position, they pushed higher, and then again, now when Christie's coming out to push, suddenly they've got an extra player wide, which means they were able to combine a little bit more. But it was a brave move, and something that I think just shows you the philosophy, the attitude and the style. They pressed so well in that shape just for that 10 minutes. So again, it just shows you that that's what they're looking to do out of possession, to keep working hard and to keep playing on the front foot and still wanting to attack teams.